So welcome to the Ronovationz Property Podcast. I'm Coach Jason, and each time we do a podcast, we're going to share some insights around what people are doing in the investment space. Tonight, I'm very privileged to have a couple of young investors that I've been working with over the last year or so, or not quite a year. And you've got a fantastic story and a fantastic journey. So it's a great opportunity for you to share some of the learnings and the successes that you've accomplished to date. So look, for the listeners that are on board with us, tell us a bit about yourselves, your backgrounds, what were you doing before you got into property investing?
Okay, I will start it off. So my background was in teaching as a primary teacher, and really enjoyed that working with children. And then I transitioned into a training role and more of a corporate business aspect. And Zam is in marketing and advertising and more of a sales focus with marketing advertising. So yeah, just regular 9 to 5 full-time job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't come from a property investing background. Your family weren't multi-millionaires that had a lot of property and you were following in their footsteps, nothing like that?
No, definitely neither of our families are in property investment. Yeah, no, just a really regular and just some stable.
So kind of breaking the mold. So I guess how old, look, you're not very old, but like how many years have you been thinking about, seriously getting into property investing?
So this is something that I've personally always been interested in, and I've been looking into property investing for as a side hobby for years. I just never thought I had like enough money saved up on my own to even get started, but I'd always read up the latest article and try and uh, learn about it. And so, in terms of us really seriously starting, it was probably in the last year and a half where we started thinking, okay, we've got a bit of money saved up together. Do we either buy a property or what else do we do? And we're quite happy where we're renting. And so we thought maybe let's put into property investing instead of just sitting on this savings. And so in
Yeah.
the last year, we really became serious about it.
Yeah, so I guess a lot of people do think about property investing. I mean, media loves talking about property all the time, and a lot of what we read, as we know, it's kind of quite sort of bad news, but it kind of gets people reading. I suppose, what was it that sort of initially sparked your interest in property investing?
I wonder if you want to answer that.
I guess all these introductory questions come to Delshad because I had no clue about property investing, no inclination whatsoever. Um, I guess when we started researching and started looking what we want in life, our career goal was more like financial freedom. We love to travel as a couple. So to get to that level, what do we need to do now to get us there? An early retirement possibly, or so things like that. So property investing was one of those mediums to get us there sooner. And we just came down to how do we go about it? Where do we go for more information? And that's where the journey started. And that sparked us. Okay, we know we want to get financial freedom. We know we want these things in life. We want early retirement of potential opportunity to retire early. And to get there, we need to do property investing. That is where we came at. And that's where it started.
And I guess a lot of people are in that space. I mean, there's an inherent interest in property because it's in our face a lot. And, we live in New Zealand and we understand that a lot of people have built wealth through property investing. We also find that we're at a bit of an age where there's a lot of information out there, right? If we rewind back 10, 15 years ago, the internet wasn't what it was today. Now you just open up your computer and you can jump onto Facebook groups and watch YouTube videos. There's a lot of information out there. And I guess a lot of people kind of can be overwhelmed with, with all the sort of different advice that's out there. Now, the other interesting thing is that the decision to start. So a lot of young people feel that property is out of reach. I mean, I have young children. My eldest is 21 and he's seen what mum and dad have done with property over the years. So he knows that there's a way to do it. But even he's at an age where he's going, well, how do people afford property? So I guess for you guys, what made you believe that it was possible for you?
That's a hard question to answer. What made it possible to believe?
I think having examples around us, seeing
Yeah.
people doing it, getting that inspiration and also seeing what it takes. Just takes discipline. It takes hard work just to get the information right and doing your own homework and research. Because, like you said, there's so much information out there. People can get bogged down. People can get misinformed. So many opinions. Some people say buy your own home and just live in that. Some people say don't get into property, buy gold, buy index funds, shares. So you can get really bogged down. It's just finding your own path and doing your own research. And obviously, we had our own shares, we had our own index funds and stuff. But knowing that property grows much faster and it's a tangible asset, doesn't fluctuate based on some other economy, some other country's actions. It's more about what's in and around you, and it's just finding the right property in the right area with the right coach.
Yeah, I guess that one of the things was that we've seen other people do it. So that's probably what made us think it's possible.
If
other
they
people
can do it, we can do it.
then if we put our heads to it, we can probably do it.
Yeah.
So having that sort of examples around you going, hey, well, they've done it. How did they do it? And so I guess it was that sort of that thirst for knowledge. I mean, a lot of people have fear when they get into property. They think of the worst and go, well, what if this happens and what if this doesn't happen? And there's a lot of fear and, people, when they're in that state of mind, usually don't do anything. They just kind of stay safe. So I suppose for you guys thinking back, what were your biggest fears or doubts, before you bought your first investment property? Because, you've since bought your first property, but prior to that, I'm sure you still would have had a lot of fear there.
I think when we first started talking about getting into property investing, there was definitely a lot of maybe anxiety along with maybe a bit of fear and feeling scared of how do we start, where do we go, what if we buy the wrong property and we get stuck? Because just as you said before with media, you see all sorts of positive stories, but you also see a lot of the negative stories. So there's definitely that fear surrounding it at the beginning. But I think once we joined up with Ronovationz, like for both of us, maybe you want to add to this, the fear turned into an excitement of, oh, we can't wait to get the first property. And I think the fear turned into a little of like fear of missing out as opposed to buying the wrong one. So I think that just solidified that, we had the confidence in the team that we had chosen. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly summarized. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, because I suppose that when you're seeing examples of what people are achieving, then that's highly motivating. And that's one of the things that I say to a lot of people as well is if you want to be good at something, even if it's not property, but something else, then be around other people because, there's the saying that you become a product of your environment. And that's so true. Translates to lots of things. So if you can remember back to your first property that you purchased, can you even remember when it was?
Yeah, exactly. It was August the 5th, 2025.
I think July.
And that was the settlement date.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was one of the best moments in our lives, I guess. It was. Yeah, it's just because of what backgrounds we come from, and also, like you said, property investing or investing in property is a huge investment money-wise. So you're putting all your efforts and money in it, and then obviously you're scared of making mistakes or not. But when we had a chat with Ronovationz, seeing the team around us, the agents and the brokers, and obviously talking to a proper coach, you have that confidence. And then when we got our first property, it was a good feeling.
How did you actually go about finding it? Because a lot of people, when they get into property, they don't. I find that they don't really have a specific strategy. They start looking in areas that they think that their budget's going to allow them to buy in. Before they know it, they're kind of like looking in quite a few different areas, looking at different types of properties and getting really, really confused. So I suppose for the property that you ended up buying, because I believe that you bought in a very good area, Remuera, for your first property, which is,
Yes.
if you think about it now, it's like, wow, didn't even really think about Remuera. But, now that you own a property in Remuera.
Yeah.
So I suppose, what was the process in terms of you finding the deal? And I suppose, what was it that made it a good opportunity for you?
I guess the process started with like learning how to research, which is what we went through with the coaching. And it was really We kind of started off in the example you just mentioned, where we're just kind of looking for something within our budget, but not really, opening up the floor plan, seeing if we can add value. Is it a property where we can buy well? So looking at ways that we can really capitalize on the investment, not just buying a property that fits our budget and hoping that it does well. So just learning that through the coaching process and fine tuning our criteria. So we were kind of on that journey for 3 or 4 months. Also being part of the on the road, so going out for the practical visits, not just the theory and looking online behind a computer, but actually getting out there and seeing, I guess, the discrepancies between sometimes what you see online and
Yeah.
then when you go and you see in 30 seconds, it's tinier than you thought.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
So just kind of matching the online computer research to in person regularly. So yeah, trying to tune that skill. And then yeah, over time, we actually were able to come across this property, but this was through one of the coaches suggesting to us. I don't know
Yeah.
to say specifically, but because we had already gone through that process of looking at properties and knowing exactly what we want, at that point in time, it was really easier for us to see the value in it. And we were just from the get go.
Sold. Yeah.
Once we viewed the property, I think almost the very next day, we just knew that it was the one that we would go for or that we'd at least make an attempt for. So we weren't kind of hesitating or questioning at that point because we knew now what we're looking for. And when we saw it, we were keen to go for it.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, it just came down to the numbers. And because when we work with the coaches, they give us a set parameters and then say if it fits your bill. And as long as the numbers match, it was a cash flow positive and good neighborhood with good high capital growth. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I suppose at that point in time, I remember the deal well because there were 3 other people involved as well. We managed to buy the entire block, which is fantastic. At that point in time, you had about 3 to 4 months under your belt of looking at properties, having a go, and I suppose looking back, 3 to 4 months doesn't sound like a lot of time. It's a very short time. But if you recall when we were having conversations with the 3 other buyers, they were completely brand new. Yes, some of them had invested in property before, not the way that we specifically coach people on. But I remember one of the conversations that we had as a group, and the other 3 were a little bit, we think this is good. We're not 100% sure. Is it, this is all new to us. And I remember you guys came on and said, guys, we've been in the market now for 3-4 months. This is by far, this is the this is the one to go for.
This is a gem. Yeah.
So it's quite amazing, looking at the journey. And that's one of the things that I often find is that sometimes when you're in that journey and you're going through all the learnings, you don't necessarily realize all the things that you're starting to pick up. And hindsight's a wonderful thing because you can look back now, because I know that you guys are now hunting for property number 2. So you're taking a lot of the experience, the learnings from the first time round and applying that for, property number 2. And, things are just going to happen a lot faster and faster from that. You're just building upon your knowledge. So I suppose if you are able to look back a little bit, what do you think have been your biggest learnings to date?
I think we learned quite a lot of points because we went through, and I don't know if you remember or not, but we went through 2 auctions prior to that property and we weren't so successful. That helped us reshape our mindset. It made us realize that even if you're at the right price, at the right locality, there will be competition out there. But it's not to just beat yourself down if you miss out. It's just to learn from it, get up, and then keep going. And that's where we found this gem, and it just came into our laps. I mean, everything happens for a reason. But what learnings I had from that was the pricing techniques, the negotiation tactics, the way when you're supposed to wait, when you're supposed to act, how the whole process works as a whole with the brokers, the timing with the banks and getting the mortgage and getting, like you said, getting the other 3 buyers, the renovation process, how to get the builders in, get the building report. If it is run down, then you don't need a building report. Small tweaks and things like that. It's just about the whole process as a whole. We learned
pretty much end to end.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I suppose, were there any sort of mistakes or challenges that you encountered along the way? Because I think what you realize and what you've just said now is that when you go for a property and you miss out because somebody's prepared to pay more than what you were prepared to pay for, I suppose it can feel like it's a little bit of a failure. It's like, oh, I really wanted this property. I didn't get it. And I find that investors can quite often get into a bit of a mindset of, am I ever going to find my deal?
Yes. Yes.
And you wonder and you self-doubt. The way that you pushed through that was fantastic because you didn't just go, oh, well, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to take a little bit of a rest and then I'll start again next month. You didn't do that. It was just like, okay, cool. Going to pick ourselves up and we're going to just keep on hunting and the right one will come along. And if you could have chosen, because you said you went for a couple of properties at auction and you missed out, and you finally got this one in Remuera. If you could now choose which of the 3 properties that you would have bought in the end, which one would you have chosen now?
Remuera.
Latest, the one we got. I think it's God's plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. It
10 times over. 10 times over.
Yeah. We say that to each other a lot when we think, gosh, in a way it was really lucky that we missed out on some of the earlier ones because those are ones where perhaps we kind of stretched a little too far and we thought, you know what, it's just worth it. We'll buckle down and we'll make the extra payments or something. Whereas with the property that we were successful with, we have 0 regrets. We feel like we can still maintain a kind of reasonable lifestyle. We're not kind of stretching our budgets or trying to scrape through. And we can also have enough to tuck away and save for the future property as well. So yeah, in terms of the challenge, it was definitely not getting attached and then also just letting go of a property when it goes over what's reasonable as an investor.
And I think the most important is being patient, trusting the process that you, I say you, obviously the coaches, the Ronovationz project has gone through multiples and thousands of properties with thousands of students. It's just trusting the process and being patient. And when the right time and the right numbers match, it will come. It's just like anything in life. It's just being patient. And at the same time, not just sitting back and saying things will just come to me. It's like we both of us are very driven.
Yeah.
So like you said, we like to research, search. And I feel when you put the effort, there's obviously a different kinds of lucks, literally, beginner's luck and everything else. But when you just do motion, like just the momentum brings you kind of a luck. So people don't take action. And action itself can be detrimental to the long-term wealth building. So just taking small actions, being on the road, just doing like 10 searches on TradeMe, just listing down some, keeping in touch. Just that brings you that luck. And I think because we did all those steps, we got to the Remuera project. It's not just a one-night wonder where it just came to us. But
yeah, people often don't see the work that's behind the success. They just see the success. And I find that a lot with people that I meet in life. They go, oh, look, you've got a good portfolio. You look like you have, having a good life, but they don't see the hard work and the sacrifices and the discipline, that was laid to get there. So yeah, success doesn't happen by luck. It happens by hard work, and that's one of the things that we live and die by. So now that you're looking for your second investment property, it's been less than a year. I had a little look when you guys first came on board to the coaching program, and that was back in March of 2025. So we're not, so we're pretty much just on a year now, and now you're in the market. And I know that you've had a go at a couple of properties and hasn't quite worked out yet, but you're resilient, and it's just like, okay, well, that wasn't the one. We're just going for it. You're repeating the same process. I guess the second time around, what's your strategy? Has it changed from before? What's your strategy for property number 2?
We definitely know we need to look for something that we can add value to, because having that in the first property has allowed us to be in this position almost a year on to go for the second.
that's by converting.
Like converting, like adding a third bedroom, and buying well in a good location. So all 3 of those criteria are quite important for us to be able to get to this property number 2. So we kind of have that as a similar strategy
Yeah.
for property number 2. So we've tried to refine what we're looking for to make sure that we can. Um,
And
yeah,
the mindset is reinforced, like you said, it's going through the troughs and downs, ups and downs, going through that journey.
yeah.
It just is
Not
deja.
getting attached.
Yeah, emotionally not getting too invested, and it's just that, yeah, just being resilient and being patient. Yeah,
So a very similar strategy. I don't personally think it's changed a lot going from property 1 to 2.
in fact, just reinforce that
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
just
same
reinforced.
process. You're supposed to go through the downs to get there. But
Yeah, so I guess what you're beginning to learn and really understand is that you're learning the process, you're learning the system. And obviously the first time that you go through it, that's where the most learning comes about, because you're doing something for the first time. Now that you're repeating the process, you're going, well, this is familiar to what happened the first time, and we managed to, find our property, and you know that it'll happen again. It's just a matter of when, not if.
yeah, true.
And, and you're doing the right thing. You're being patient, but at the same time, you're being, you're taking action. You're not just sitting back going, well, let's just wait for the right one to come along. You're still hunting, and the right one will come along. So I suppose to ask the next question I'd just like to ask you is thinking longer term, because we know that property investing is a long term wealth building strategy. You're not going to get rich overnight. What's your why? Why are you doing property? What's your sort of your long term goals with property investing?
I think the why is definitely an element of financial freedom. And it's not like one aspect could be that we can maybe retire early. And that's a nice to have. But the other aspect is just being able to have the choice to do more in life than, I guess, work till 65. We both really enjoy traveling and like to treat ourselves to some nice holidays each year. And so, we're quite aware that if we continue just work, save holiday, eventually that would run out. So we're trying to think of, okay, how can we balance it where we can travel and enjoy life, but also be building something where we don't have to exchange a job necessarily to be able to enjoy life and travel. And so that's our why. And then something that motivates us to act on the why now versus in 10 years is, I guess, our age,
Definitely time.
the time, and also that we don't really have anyone dependent on us apart from each other. We don't have elderly parents to care for at this stage. We don't have any children at this stage. So this is really the time for us that we can buckle down, sacrifice a little of our evening TV time and do some research and save money because we know we don't have any dependents which could come in the next 5 to 10
Yeah,
years. And then we might not be in a position to then put ourselves first. So that's our why. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. I remember when I was in the corporate world, what I used to hate, because I like, like most people as well, like traveling. And what I hated was that you work for a year and you get 3 weeks off at the end of the year to go and enjoy it. How is that fair? You have to ask for leave and you look forward to public holidays and things like that.
yeah.
So yeah. So I suppose in closing, advice for other young investors, what advice would you give to other young people who think investing in property is impossible right now?
I think for me, it's definitely knowing your why you want to do it, and to act sooner. If I knew this program or the company existed, if I knew if I could get this second or third property building equity, I would do it much sooner, because sorry, is money. The earlier you start, it compounds. You get from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, much quicker. And the more you delay, the more inaction you take is literally losing you money. So take the action, even if it's just going on the road, go on a bus tour, do your own research. There's no harm. You don't have to spend a lot of money to take some form of action, but just by sitting on the fence and waiting, waiting and waiting, you're not only losing money, you lose the motivation, you lose the direction, and that will hurt you in the long run. to it later on at the age of 65. They're like, oh, I should have done this much sooner. Now I only have 4 properties. Or it's not the age where I need to go out and be looking for houses when I should be with my grandkids. So we were very clear on that. Right now, like Delshad said, no parents to look after, but at the same time, get in early.
Something that I'd just add on like a personal note is because I've been passionate for a long time. Like I think back, I could have started earlier, but for me, it was probably a bit of fear and not knowing where to start. And also, I was on my own. So for me, I thought I had all the savings,
You assume
but
that you need
I
to
just
find.
assumed that I would, once I have a partner, then we can invest together and we can buy our house. I didn't quite take action to think, you know what, actually, maybe I've saved up enough over the last 4 or 5 full-time years to jump in. And had I started 8 or 10 years ago,
The
maybe
property prices were much cheaper.
my
Yeah.
savings would have been
A long run,
sufficient.
yeah.
So maybe just to other young people, that would be my advice: is you don't have to wait to be in that perfect kind of scenario. Just get started. There'll be something for everyone and every budget within reason. So that would be my advice, just to add on to that.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice, guys. I think a lot of people, when it comes to property, they're waiting for perfect conditions. They're waiting for the right time, uh, when,
It's like
they
you've
think that
said
it's
multiple
the right
times, Jay.
opportunity, it's time in the market. Absolutely. Guys, that's been fantastic advice and very, very insightful. It's been a privilege to work alongside you guys and to see you grow to where you are now. And the exciting thing is there's a lot more to come. And the one thing that I really get from the both of you is just your enthusiasm and your excitement. Property has become fun, and this is what it's meant to be about. A lot of people get quite serious when it comes to property investing because it's large amounts of money and it's a serious business, and it's like, oh, we don't want to screw this up. But you guys are really enjoying, you're embracing the journey, and the successes that you're achieving are 100% well deserved.
I think we have a lot to thank the team around us for the proper
We have
guidance.
the right people.
Yeah, having the right people, it makes it so much easier and fun, except when you're sitting in an auction room. But
It's stressful
it
then.
is a fun journey. I wasn't too invested with the effort and work in which you need to put into it. And Delshad has been leading it and doing exceptionally well. But now I've started the second property. I've got a lot into it, and I'm seeing what the criteria are. I very goal set it, and I know exactly what to look for. And that's what they say: when you look for something, it comes to you, and it hopefully comes to.
Lovely. Well, guys, thank you very much for jumping onto this podcast tonight. I'm sure that your experiences and your learnings are going to be very valuable for listeners tonight. Thank you for tuning in tonight, everyone. Catch up with us next time, and we'll have another exciting topic about property. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.